when you think of like some of the common pitfalls that leaders face to implementing this framework you have around observational listening, what do you see as common pitfalls and obstacles for leaders to implement this?
Might be strange to say it, but I believe that a lot of what we do automatically without sufficient thinking about what the effect of that is. And again, you don't want to think about everything, but especially the important stuff. Reflecting is a skill that's necessary. I believe that the pitfall is that we usually fall back into old patterns. That's our default. So getting ourselves to change our default is probably the largest challenge we're faced with. I have the same, I'll take a simple example, the why question. We love the why question. We love to ask why this and this and this, why this and this and this. Whereas when we philosophically think about it, the answer we can usually do absolutely nothing with. Or at best, we can use it as an excuse. Why am I feeling angry? Okay, let's get an answer to that. And now? So this is an example of something that once you become aware of it, you can change your thinking and your language into more saying, okay, the why question is exceedingly interesting when we have to analyze something technical that's happened in the past. Okay, as soon as we talk about human beings, we're not talking about robots anymore. The why question in the past generally is only to excuse ourselves. So it has no real value. It would be better to ask the question, what is this trying to tell me? What is this trying to push me to? How are we going to deal with this in the future? Where is this nudging us towards? All these kind of questions are far more interesting because they're future-oriented and action-oriented.
Yeah.
Having said this, I know this, and I still notice that as soon as I'm slightly under pressure, I default into asking the why question.
Yeah. There's something about the why question. When you ask why, and I've seen articles about this too, like scientific articles about this. It almost brings a person into defense mode.
Definitely, especially if it's a why about someone's behavior.
Yeah. So why did you do that? It becomes defense, or if you're talking to yourself, like, why am I like this? And then you start excusing yourself, like, well, I was treated badly as a kid, and I was bullied, and my mom and dad, and
that's really going to help you.
It's so on one hand, it's good to acknowledge how you were treated or whatnot, but it does not excuse your present and future behavior. And I think that's the difference there. So,
and perhaps the question is, why should you excuse something in the first place? I mean, what's happened in the past has happened in the past.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that coaching teaches you too, is and how to teach yourself, is using that is, what is this telling you? How can I use this as a fuel to achieve or do the things I want to do? Right. Now you're a psychologist, so I don't want to minimize the need to understand the past. Right. There is some understanding and unpacking some people need to do.
Also, psychologists differ on that one, eh?
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
The old school psychologists, they're interested in your past and your childhood.
Yeah.
So the new school psychologists aren't, because there is sufficient research that shows you that there's not much point in rehashing the past unless the past is hassling you right now.
Yeah.
Which so
probably is.
Yeah. So if it is hassling you right now, then that might be a reason to go and discover something in what's happened.
Yeah.
But in general, it's and this is also the basis of the positive psychology. The basis is, okay, let's rather look what's going well, what could go better, and how are we going to do that?
Yeah.
And to me, that fits very well with leadership psychology. If we are constantly asking people why they did what they did, we're again creating the space where people are being taught be defensive. In other words, it's not a safe space. Therefore, they're not going to open their mouths when they should be. I don't believe that's good for your organization in the long term.
Yeah.
The opposite.
Yeah.